Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Miha and welcome to my chessrealm YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you a game between Rashid Nezhmetdinov and Yuri Kotkov played back in 1957. For those of you who don't know, Rashid Gibiatovich Nezhmetdinov was a strong Soviet chess player, probably the strongest who hadn't been awarded a Grandmaster title, and he was known for his bold attacking play and he created a lot of nice games. This is just one of them. Nezhmetdinov had white pieces and he started with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5, knight to f6. And we have Berlin defense of Ruy Lopez, white castles kingside and black grabs the unprotected pawn on e4. One of possible continuation for white is d4, attacking pawn on e5, trying to get the pawn back. Black cannot take on d4 because this opens the e-file and white gets to harass the black king. In the game, white played rook to e1, knight to d6, knight captures on e5. Black cannot take the unprotected bishop on b5 because knight on c6 discover attack on the king and black loses queen. So bishop goes to e7, bishop to d3, black castles kingside, knight to c3, knight to e5 and rook recaptures on e5. Black has a solid position and many ways to continue the battle. One of possible plans is c6 with later d5 fighting for center. In the game, however, black played bishop to f6, white removes the rook to e3, leaving e1 square free for the other rook. It's always good to double the rooks along the files, and white also has the opportunity to start an attack on the black king. So g6 was played, queen to f3, bishop to g7 and b3. Since the pawn is blocked, white wants to fianchetto his dark square bishop. Black plays knight to e8, bishop to a3, d6 and rook from a to e1, doubling the rooks along the e-file, and now black plays knight to f6 and h3. With the last move, white protects the g4 square because if black knight jumps on g4, he attacks the rook and then he can go to e5, forking queen and the bishop, so white wants to avoid that. And now we see that white has space advantage and is controlling the open e-file, but black has a solid position, although his light square bishop is still undeveloped. Moreover, he has to protect b7 pawn, so maybe rook to b8 would be a good continuation for black. In the game, however, black played knight to d7. I won't say it's bad move, it's just now black loses control over d5 square and white immediately uses the opportunity, knight to d5. Black cannot drive the knight away with c6 because white checks the king and then takes the undefended d-pawn, resulting in winning position for white. But even here, it would be valid to play rook to b8 or maybe even c5 with white having a slight edge. What black did next was actually a blunder. f5 was played. At first you might think it's nothing wrong with this move, but this fatally weakens black's kingside pawn structure, and white plays knight to c7, attacking the rook on a8. But if black removes the rook, then knight to e6, forking queen and the rook, so black has to take the knight with queen, and now queen to d5, check. Black cannot defend the king with rook because then it would be pinned, so king to h8 and now rook to e8. White is threatening queen to f7 and then invasion of the second rook on the 7th rank, and then it would be over. If black takes rook on e8, then rook to e8, knight to f8, bishop to c4, and mate or severe material loss is unavoidable. So in this position, black played knight to f6, rook captures on f8, bishop recaptures and bishop to b2. Black cannot take the queen because knight is pinned, so bishop to g7, bishop to c4. If knight takes the queen, then rook to e8, checkmate. So black played bishop to d7, defending the back rank, and here white had a simple but maybe not the most obvious move that leads to victory, and that is queen to f7. Now if black tries to drive away the queen with rook to f8, then rook to e8, black rook is pinned, and if black takes white rook with bishop, then he loses queen, and if rook takes on e8, then bishop to f6, threatening mate on g7, and if bishop takes, then queen recaptures and it's checkmate. If black would support the knight with queen to d8, then bishop captures, queen recaptures, and queen takes on d7. Now white is a pawn up and is controlling the 7th rank. Rook will soon join. Black pieces are more or less trapped, so probably a winning position for white. In the game, white saw the things a little differently. Bishop captures on f6, bishop recaptures, and only now queen to f7. Now here black had the opportunity to provide a more tenacious defense with bishop to g5, because now black protects the f6 square, so queen cannot deliver mate, and black is also preventing the invasion on the e7 square. So here white would have to drive the bishop away, starting with g3 with the idea h4, but now black gains a little time and can open the game with f4, h4, f takes on g3, h takes on g5, and g takes on f2. Double attack, so white has to take. If he takes with queen, then queen to c5, forcing the exchange. And if king takes on f2, then still queen to c5, rook to e3, queen to f5, again forcing the exchange of queens. So after queen takes, bishop recaptures, rook to e7, material is equal, but white is again controlling the 7th rank. Also king is stuck in the corner, so this is a long-term strategical advantage, but white would anyway have to play very accurately if he would want to convert it to victory. Okay, let's go back to our game. Black failed to find the correct move. Instead, black played queen to d8, which loses instantly. Now we have mate in 2. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to find it. Mate in 2 starts with rook to e8 check. If black takes with bishop, then queen to g8 mate, and if queen takes, then queen to f6 check mate. And realizing this, in this position, Yuri Kotkov resigned the game. I hope you like this game and that you have learned something from it. I invite you to visit my Instagram page. More stuff will come, so subscribe to my channel. That's it for now, and see you soon.